What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 71, Hex Ed Strong Restart. For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of three busy gamers playing games that they love and balancing life with those games. My name is Jerod Johnson, and tonight I am joined by Trace Al Capone Hyde.
I am an illusory fighter.
Once again. And Jason Tabled New Murray.
You want to know what I'm not?
What are you not?
Unspent glory.
You are not spent glory. That is so true. So in tonight's episode, we are going to talk about the things that we're looking the most forward to about Embergard, based on what we have seen in a couple of Warcom articles and the live stream that was put on this past Friday. It is October 13th as of this recording. So before we get into all of that, I guess we'll do what we've been doing, and we'll catch up on what everybody's been up to since the last episode. So, Trace, what you been up to, buddy?
I have been painting tiny soldiers and for Legions Imperialis.
Nice.
And then my son and I actually started painting some lizardmen this weekend. I've been instructing him on how to dry brush, so he's been enjoying that and the detail that it brings out without him having to do a lot of work, which is fun. I've not really been playing a whole lot of tabletop games. Been kind of like my post-Nova break mode. And then I have been playing Space Marine. I've been playing a absolute metric ton of Marvel Snap. And I have been playing some World of Warcraft as well. So just a little bit of everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you got back into the Snap? What brought you back into it?
I don't know. I just was sitting on the couch and I opened it up, and that was my mistake. It's just really fun. It's a really fun way to like spend 10, 15 minutes of, exercising the brain muscles and not having to like get out models or whatever. And it still scratches that like card game itch that we like. So, it's been fun. I've been playing a bunch of different stuff. I've been playing some bounce decks, which are like a lot of little dudes, and you play cards to put them back in your hand, and they like reduce their cost and gain power and all that other stuff. And then I've been playing a really, really high cost Hella deck that just pulls in all these cards you discard over the game, and she drops like 50 power on turn 6. It's gross. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Cool. I also have been getting back into card games because for some reason my son today like comes running up to me and's like, I can read now. We should play Pokemon again. So
Nice.
We played like, I don't know, 5 games of Pokemon today.
Nice.
And then that sparked the jealousy with Emma. So then she went up into the office and started building Loricana decks, which, mind you, she didn't finish. So there are Loricana cards everywhere. I'm just like, really? You couldn't use like the card builder? You had to get them all out. And she's like, it's almost done. Okay. No, but that was fun today. And the kids played Pokemon by themselves for a while today, too. And just for clarity, like, Aiden can't fully read yet, so it was just funny for him to say, like, oh, I can read now. He does okay. It's fine. And then we got to the math part of, like, I hit you for 100 damage. How much do you have left? 10? No, you have 120. I mean, that kind of close.
Yeah. It's all relative.
That'll get better over time.
It will. He just, it was a spark, and it was awesome to have them come in and say, hey, this is what we want to do. But other than that, I mean, obviously Space Marine, I'm almost max level in multiplayer. I think I'm almost 24 I'll be 24 in my next game, and that leaves 25 to get all the weapons unlocked. And still really, really enjoying it. Love all the classes. Love the balance of the game. From a board game standpoint, not a whole lot. We played what is it? Taco Cat.
Goat cheese pizza.
Yeah, which was funny because the narwhal came out. Instead of making a narwhal, Sarah slapped herself in the head.
Nice.
That was fun.
So my family decided to break that game out whenever I still had a surgically repaired arm that wasn't quite all the way healed.
Oh, rude.
That was not fun. So trying to smack something in the middle of the table with an injured arm. But yeah, it's a fun game. I enjoy it.
Yeah. And then Phase 10, that's been thrown around a lot lately. I think my daughter's turning into a hustler at daycare. So she's like, let's play some Phase 10. I'm like, why? She's like, I just need some practice. Okay. And then lastly, yeah. And like she smoked so while we were at Nova, like they went back to Buffalo or whatever. And her new cousins, like step cousins, I guess you would call it. She's like, you guys want to play Phase 10? And Sarah was like, she is good. Like she schooled all of them. And then like now we're at home and she's like, I need some practice for daycare. Something's going on. I don't know. She's probably gambling for Roblox or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Probably. Yeah.
Some adopt me pet. But then other than that, like we did have an Underworlds meetup, which was great to get back out into the community and get everything fired back up. Played some Skinnerkin there. So that was good. And then, the announcement, I don't know if we'll play again until the new one comes out, but I can't wait for the new one. So that's okay. Jerod, what about you?
Yeah. So, the Underworlds meetup. So we'll start there. That was good. Fun times. Got to play. I played G's Crimson Court Rhymelock Relics deck into the deck that Kaylin was planning to take to Tampa before it got rightfully canceled. And that was fun. And then he turned around and absolutely shellacked me with he had a Dread Pageant deck that I don't even remember what I played. I got beat so bad. It was bad. I think I played Skinnerkin. I think I played the Fork and Knife deck, and it did not fire at all. But yeah, it was a good time. It was good to see like the majority of our little community show up, turn out for that again. Outside of that, I have been building some Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures. So I've got everybody new that is mutant affiliated built, except for Apocalypse himself. And I have to say that the Angel miniature is it's really good. Like just the pose, the way they've got the wings sculpted and stuff. I'll be excited to get it painted up. And then, so speaking of Robux, my kids have been playing an Among Us clone on Roblox, and it makes me think about Blood on the Clock Tower.
Right?
And, like when I could introduce that game to my family, because they were playing this afternoon upstairs. We had some people over with a couple of kids that are like exactly their ages, and they were playing in person Among Us upstairs. Somehow, I don't know what the rules
were. They made it up.
They
figured it out.
Yeah, but I'm like, that is exactly what Blood on the Clock Tower is. So maybe I need to look into getting that and exploring that with the kids, or borrowing it or something, or finding a cheaper online version before I shell out the money for that big old tome. But
have they played Werewolf yet?
What? Well, we haven't done Werewolf, and that would be the first.
The start,
yeah, the first foray. We went to the local Gamers Geekery and Tavern yesterday as a family, busted out the rim racers, and I beat my son and my mother-in-law because they just weren't playing the game well. As it turns out, picking the right movement tool can be difficult. And when you pick the wrong one, you hit the wall a lot, and that slows down your progress.
Bumper cars.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a good time. And for anybody that doesn't know the Gamers Geekery, it is a board game cafe, so the food's pretty good. So hosted the in-laws, and Daniela and Maggie and Autumn played some Taco Cat goat cheese pizza. They played, I think it's Outfoxed. It's like a Fox Clue rolling dice game. But it was fun. And then outside of that, been playing some Space Marine, a little bit of WoW. That's been about it.
Space Marine.
Space Marine, brother. Yeah. So I think that covers what we've been up to. So we'll go ahead and jump into the meat of the episode. I'm going to kick things over to Jason, as we do, to let him play the hostess with the mostest.
Awesome. I'm well prepared.
You're so prepared. Always.
I'm so prepared. Always. No, I mean, we got this great preview from Warhammer Day, which was a really nice preview. A lot of cool stuff through that. It was nice to see a good preview. And we got Warhammer Underworlds 2.0. And can't say that I was expecting it. It was a little bit... I mean, there wasn't an announcement for warbands, so I guess there was something new coming, and there was rumors and stuff like that. So it wasn't like a completely out of left field surprise. But just the amount that it seems that they are like rebooting or changing. And most of it, I would say 99.9% of it, I love. Like, you know, when they were on there, one of the articles is like, you will get rules for all 750 warbands. I was like, sweet. No, all 58 warbands. As a person that has commission painted warbands, I was like, thank you, sweet baby GW. So yeah, like just really, really excited to get a new setting. And then on top of that, we've had 2 or 3 articles, and then the live stream, which, you know, was a little disappointing because I believe that was supposed to take place in Tampa, but was still very appreciative that they got something out there with the Warhammer crew. And it was nice to see, and the game plays well. So I am super excited for this reboot. I know it can be hard for something to go for 7 years and be so established, and there's little changes here and there, and then have this 2.0. But I'm all in. I'm hook, line, and sinker. Like, give it to me, and let's try something. But that's just me. I know that we've talked quite a bit this past week on the subtle changes. So, Trace, like, what are you most looking forward to out of Underworlds 2.0?
I think the normalizing of the dice is probably my favorite thing.
Wait, normalizing like they're a D6 now?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Like less spiky. You have more opportunities when you roll more dice to actually have something go through and not have dirty cheaters with weighted dice single def crit you and make nothing happen.
You can't prove anything, Trace.
You don't have to prove anything. Your win record versus me is enough.
Oh, are you saying that in 2.0 this will flip?
No, I'm just saying I think that it will normalize, and Jerod and I hopefully will have a more even record than what we have had in the past.
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a big change. The crits no longer counting as super successes. They're more like trigger successes now.
Yeah, there's some sort of like ability or something like a
there's
could trigger.
Yeah, there's 2 stand fast, which is on defense, and then I can't remember the other one. I want to say it's like follow through, but I can't. It's something else. But if you roll a crit if you roll more crits in your defense roll than the attacker, then you can reduce the damage by 1, and you are not driven back. So it doesn't block the attack. It doesn't stop all of the damage, but
yeah, and that's like they get 3 regular successes. You get 1 crit. You get that benefit.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the reason why I like it the most is because it just feels like it feels like both players get rewarded in that case instead of just the person who rolled the crit to get rewarded only. So, in my opinion, it makes for less feel bad scenarios.
Yeah, no, I definitely get why you're excited about it. It definitely puts, when you tool up your fighter and you roll 5 dice because of potion of strength or potion
Haymaker.
of rage. Potion of rage was
Potion of rage and haymaker and
haymaker. And then you just roll nothing or they roll a single def crit.
yeah.
I'm excited to see the single def crit go. I thought, when we first started playing, crits were my favorite, and I'm very hopeful that the subtle additions that they've given crits keep that crit blood alive. But it did over the years. It's like, oh, great! I roll 3 dice, I get 2 successes. Here it comes.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to see, like, with that math kind of changing. Do we roll more dice? Do we get more defensive dice? Do we get less dice? Like, just all the stats on, weapon upgrades, warbands, defensive upgrades, how that all plays out, because it will be a big change. And, cleave and ensnare are now just as important as ever. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it's just going to make a better play experience overall for everybody. But I'm with you, Jason. I think I'm interested to see what the statistics are going to be like. And then also, like, the design space that opens up. Like, what do they do with those criticals if they're not going to trump everything?
Yeah.
More abilities or whatever. Who knows? I think it's going to be a cool, brave new world.
Yes, it will be, like, in the courage to go after it, right? Because it's still a D6, it's still the same dice, but, like, just to go after something that is that core is brave. And I know back when others played, it was probably a concern the way that the RNG worked out. So awesome. There are other changes, and Jerod, what are you most looking forward to in 2.0?
Yeah, so they've got the new War Scrolls, and this is where the between the fighter card and the War Scroll for the Warband, that is where the identity of the Warband lives. And when they originally announced that, I had some hesitance because it felt like there was a lot of lost flavor there. And I think the reality is there probably is a lot of lost flavor. But the thing that I am excited about is that the flavor that they retained comes in the form of essentially gambits that you get to use whenever you want. Yeah. You don't have to wait for your to draw the card to get, like in the example of the Emberwatch, they have the Vanguard Dash where you can teleport to any empty edge hex. You don't have to wait to draw that card. You can use it exactly when you need to use it. Yeah. So I think that it's going to make for some more skill expression, more opportunities for that, and less randomness to get to use the most flavorful things of your warband. And some of it's like really cool, like Kaboom on Tick Tick. Like, just going to run this mouse in and blow up in round 3 and do 2 damage to everybody that's within 2 hexes. And as we saw on the stream, Tick Tick himself is worth 0 bounty. So you get to inflict the damage for free, and then you don't give up any glory to your opponent when you blow up in the middle of their line or whatever. Yeah. So, and again, like, you don't have to wait for that card or possibly never see that card because of, your shuffle order or whatever the case is. So that's, I'm excited to see how that plays out.
I'm going to agree and disagree all at the same time.
That's fair.
So, like, when I first saw the War Scroll cards and then heard that the faction cards were gone, I was like, oh, like, come on. Like, that's what makes Underworlds. That's what makes the warband. And then the more I saw and the more that I sat there and contemplated my naval, was I'm excited. Like, I think there's actually going to be more flavor in the game because of what you just like kind of pointed out is you're not waiting for those cards to come out. Like, this is my warband. This is what it does. And I will have access to it the entire game whenever I want. So therefore, to me, that flavor will still be there. Now, like, I'm sure as, the 58 warbands come over, that there are things that are lost from the way that we've played it with the objectives. And the objectives are probably the saddest part because they kind of did give you a play style.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it. Like, I'm thinking in my mind that it's going to work out for the better. And from a design standpoint, it's a lever. Like, we only had the cards before. You had objectives, and then your power deck, and you could only pull those levers so much. Now they still have decks, right? Like, they're not warband decks, but they're still going to have a deck. And then you have this card that a lever can be pulled to add flavor in. And then you mentioned the bounty. So, like, the bounty is a big thing for me too, is like each fighter not only has its own stats, has its own weapons, but it has its own bounty for that fighter. So it just feels, I don't know, I think there's more life there for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about like the bounty, like providing flavor for the warband, but like that's totally true. Like, the bounty characteristic is like another flavor lever and gameplay, like design lever that they can utilize.
Well, just like you said, Jerod, like with Tick Tick costing, being 0 bounty, like that's just built-in flavor for them. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you always have access to it. Like, I just think of that game. Like, you're like, oh, Tick Tick, I'm gonna do this. This is my favorite thing. Like, this is Trace's one thing that he wants to do, and then it never comes up. Like, he plays like 7 games. He's like, all I wanted to do was blow up Tick Tick. I didn't draw the card. Sorry, I even mulliganed and didn't even draw the card. Son of a monkey, but But now I can do it.
I can do it. Don't worry.
Whenever you want. It's okay. You'll do it in round 3 and then roll all supports anyway.
That's correct.
No.
No, it's
not like me, Johnson.
Yeah. So so from what we've seen, like, that's my favorite thing so far. Jason?
Well, so in the last thing with the war scroll, which I never ever thought that I would be saying, but it so fits into the AOS genre.
Yeah.
Games, right? Like, it goes to Warcry, it then goes to Spearhead, then it goes to full AOS. Yeah. Like, and it's just neat. And I don't know what is to come because, like, normally our warbands get ported into other games. Like, does that mean that war scroll card, that flavor is more similar in each version of the game?
Oh, yeah.
So I really like. Yeah. Again, I hate, like, first glance, like, here's the preview. I'm like, oh no, I'm crying on my pillow and kicking my dog. And now I'm like, no, this might be the best change that there is.
Yeah. So you just said something and it triggered a memory for me. I don't know if you guys remember, there was the Stormcast podcast that was produced by Games Workshop.
Yes.
There were like 7 episodes or whatever, right when Age of Sigmar launched. So one of the episodes talked about there is a whiteboard in the GW design studio somewhere that is the grammar of Age of Sigmar. And you just tied that all together for me, that like they can start to align the grammar across all of the games set in the Age of Sigmar, but still design them specifically for like that gameplay style. So Underworlds will still play like Underworlds. But if you decide to make the move from Underworlds to Warcry or Warcry to Spearhead, like, the idea of a core ability is still going to be a thing. The idea of a war scroll, like the idea of health, it's a save characteristic. it's all going to translate very well, which is they are a company, right? Like the idea is start small, get somebody in small. And I'm sure their dream is for somebody to own all of the games, but it just makes that more accessible.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Or to pull people in from Age of Sigmar, right? There are a ton of people that we know that play Age of Sigmar that have never played Underworlds. You're like, look, it's just Age of Sigmar on a smaller scale. You still got a War Scroll. You still got core abilities. Now you just have these cards that let you do even cooler things than you get to do in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, and from a player agency standpoint too, there's no more surprises on your warband. From like you remember, there's 50,000 warbands, 58, and now it's like okay, we're starting a game, and I'm playing, I don't know, Thunderix Profiteers. I've never played against them before. Instead of like, what kind of cards do they have? And then your opponent's like, I'm not telling you because that's closed information.
Yeah.
Like, here's the War Skull card. Like, this is what they do. Here's all their, for lack of a better word, their ploys on the card. It just like, I don't know. I think it's a better player experience, as well as I think there's more flavor because the decks are less flavorful. Like, it just, I don't know. I'm super excited about it. Super excited for all of that. And that leads into what I am most excited about with the War Scroll cards. That is Rivals. Just to play Rivals. And for anyone that knows me, like, especially at our locals, like someone's like, I want to play Rivals, and I just like casually walk off, like, I didn't bring a Rivals deck tonight. Like, I only have a Nemesis deck. And the reason that I'm excited to play Rivals is because I still get to play the flavor. It's not just the stats of my fighters, right? Like, oh, look, like, yeah, I'm 2 range for 2 hammers and 17 damage. No, it's like I actually get to play with the flavor of that warband because of the War Scroll card, and then just have a standard deck that, isn't going to be the most tuned thing, but at the same time, that player that we're playing against knows what's coming, and I can play my deck to its fullest and my warband to its fullest because it's just new. I'm actually really excited to play Rivals. I don't know why, and maybe I won't like it, but right now I think with a War Scroll card and a Rivals deck, it's perfect for me.
I like it.
That's a good shout.
Yeah. And I think it goes to like the increased accessibility of
100%.
2.0.
Yep.
That you get a meaningful gaming experience from a Rivals game still.
Well, and then also just think about what potentially is in the core box, right? Like, how many Rivals decks are in there? Do we know that for sure?
4.
There are 4?
Yeah.
So now you have 8 play experiences that are unique versus what we had before, which is less.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like, but for that new player or like the person that plays all the time, like, it's easier to digest those 4 decks and remember all of those than 22 warband decks, right? Like,
right.
So you're actually going to get higher level play quicker because they understand what's going on or not, like feeling through that first matchup. Again, the surprise is the War Scroll. So I don't know. I'm
I think that the deck theming is going to be very big too in helping players understand kind of what they need to do. Like, what are they just said those rune marks or whatever they're called.
Strike, take and hold, mastery, and flex.
Yeah, like those are very easy to look at that and say, okay, I understand what I need to do, and then pair it with something that's effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
It should be. I mean, it's all new, and it's a game that we've loved, the game that we've played a lot, poured our heart and souls into, and I'm stoked to have these new play experiences and hopefully grow the community even more. The last piece too is like we just don't know what the balancing will look like going forward. And I already shared in our last episode how hard it was at Nova to like keep all these FAQs and erratas Now that War Scroll card, like, I'm assuming they can update it and you can print it pretty easily because it is one card instead of having all these individual cards that have been updated. And then who knows? Like they said, there's deck building, but they haven't clarified what that deck building is. Maybe that is as far as championship, or it's Nemesis, or something new, something in between. And with another lever that they can pull with upgrades costing different glory points, and like there's just a lot of nuance in there that the balance can come back to the game. But speaking of deck building, we do want to make a shout out.
Yeah, so the thing that we want to say is that whatever the deck building is, like we are committed to creating and maintaining a new deck library for that. So like the Battle Mallet, the number of people that I talked to at Nova that were like, oh, you guys are the deck library guys. Not, oh, like I love your podcast. But like, oh, I love your deck library. I send every new player to it, which is the goal. Like that's what we want. It will continue. We will archive, but still have available the existing deck library for Underworlds 1.0 for anybody that wants to continue that. But we are committed to building and maintaining and updating a new library of whatever format is available for deck building going forward.
Accessibility is our number one goal, to have the most players possible. So whatever that may be to come, will be right here waiting for you.
Nice.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Or how your heart breaks.
Yeah, I mean,
either
there
way.
are some broken hearts out there right now, but it'll be okay because we'll be right here
waiting for you.
All right, and with that, that's the hype. And we're
That's
going to take a
hype.
short break and come back for the outro.
And we're back, and that wraps up the 71st episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. As always, we want to say thanks for taking the time to listen. Be sure to subscribe and review in your podcast app of choice other than word of mouth. That is the best way to get our content out to new listeners. There are some changes in our socials. We are trying to unify our names, and I have been unable to sway/get in contact with the people that own the Battle Mallet handles. So going forward, both Instagram and X will be Battle Mallet HQ. You can find us there to see pictures of our events. We will continue to be the Battle Mallet podcast on Facebook because that one we already had, and it was easy to keep it that way. And you can find us as the Battle Mallet podcast in your podcast app of choice. But I think that's it for the needful. Any community shout outs?
Just check out the other hype episodes, like Path to Glory, What the Hex have all dropped. They're hype episodes, and I think Agents of Sigmar dropped it on YouTube. So a lot of stuff out there to consume.
There is, yeah. So Jake is authoring for Goonhammer now, so that's there. And then I think John Grant from johngrantmanagers.co.uk just dropped is dropping some reviews on his site as well. So there is no shortage of content to consume, and I can only assume that there will be more content to come in the coming days, weeks. Hopefully that's as far as it goes. If it's months before we get anything new, that would be tragic. Cool. So for the Battle Mallet podcast, I am a Warp Charge Skaven.
I'm a great strength.
And I'm a singular board.
This is Jerod signing out.
This is Stray signing out.
And I'm Jason Table New Murray. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
Go Bills.
Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats. Mr. Needy.
You always give us a time. I feel like you stopped giving us a time because you know that we're going to try and wreck it if you do.
I'm going to wreck it.
Should I be concerned that a file just appeared in my Google Drive that says passwords and usernames for Roblox? And there are a whole bunch of usernames and passwords that I've never seen before.